What you are about to witness is my child, my spawn, my creation, the thing which I, in my infinite parental capabilities, brought from its beginning as a mere fledgling idea in the darkest reaches of my brain to life. I claim no responsibility for what this language has done, and what it will continue to do, for why should we punish the father for the sins of the child? From my linguistic loins have I created a pox upon humanity, but I did not intend this. No, I intended to make art. I intended to make beauty. I intended to make my microwave speak to me. I wish to do what humans have always done, bend my machinery to my will. Instead, I've fallen into hubris. Like Icarus, I flew too close to the sun that was the linguistic pantheon, and now, like a comet, I come crashing down to the unspeakable depths below. However, on my fall toward the abyss, I realized something. I realized that I am a selfish individual. And what do selfish individuals do? They bring the ship down with them. At this very moment, you are the Titanic. I am the incompetent captain who ignores the cries of his men. And what you are about to witness is the iceberg. I present to you the language of microwaves. Firstly, let's discuss the phonology, at least the thing that is closest to a phonology. You see, the only noises you will be hearing are the incessant pleas of my microwave as it seeks death yet cannot find it. Rather than a phonology, we have a microwaveology. Note that this language has many different dialects. Every microwave model has its own beeps, its own boops, its own mechanical inner workings. What I present to you is language outfitted to suit my microwave. In order to properly speak this language, you must acquire this specific microwave. The model number is HBP100N30AL-S3, a Hamilton Beach microwave. Mine was manufactured around August 2017. Don't think for a moment that you can simply speak this language without my specific microwave. If your microwave is this model, but was made at a different time, then you cannot speak the language without adjustments. That aside, this microwave has a multitude of buttons which can be used to express many different things. Most often, it is used for time and cooking, but my mind has been opened far beyond that. Here's the button inventory we have to work with. Baked potato, popcorn, pizza, beverage, frozen dinner, reheat, clock, time cook, kitchen timer, time defrost, weight defrost, power level, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, start/+30 seconds, hereafter referred to as start, and stop/clear, hereafter referred to as stop. In addition, we can open and close the microwave door, as well as place things inside it. I initially considered slapping or otherwise touching the outside of the microwave to make noises, but I realized that this would constitute abuse to the microwave, and it has felt enough pain already. How do we translate these actions into meaning? Allow me to explain. Let's talk about the simplest part, inserting things into the microwave. This is used in exactly one context, loan words. If a word has no good equivalent, is a proper noun, etc., you write the word itself on a microwave-safe plate and place it inside the microwave. You can remove the plate almost immediately, or you can leave it in for very long periods of time. It is up to the speaker. Do note that leaving the plate in longer generally indicates greater importance or emphasis. Another relatively easy mechanism to use is the door. The door is utilized exclusively for punctuation. You open and close the door to indicate a period, do the same quickly to indicate a comma, slam the door shut for an exclamation mark, and finally leave the door open for a question mark. Note that this makes it grammatically impossible, or at least incorrect, to say anything after a question. The door is permitted to be closed when your question has been answered, which really makes one think. This is due to my own realizations when I ask questions about my monstrous child to the abyss. If you stare too long, it will stare back. And if you ask a question, you'd best be prepared to wait a long time for an answer. Now, buttons. Buttons serve a variety of purposes, which necessitates groupings of buttons. There are 5 basic button groups which are named after their function during standard microwave usage, as opposed to my microwave usage. The first group is known as the presets. This group includes baked potato, popcorn, pizza, beverage, frozen dinner, and reheat. These buttons are very simple in usage. They simply represent pronouns. I originally wanted every button to have a myriad of complex use cases, but I found myself creating a minimalist language, from my perspective at least, with very few buttons. Thus, the presets came into being. Each button designates a pronoun, as denoted by the table you see now. The next group is the control actions group. This group includes start and stop. These buttons are used in very specific cases. The start button is utilized for emphasis. For example, spoiler alert, words are formed via numbers. After inputting a number, you can push start to activate some function of the microwave. This is done to emphasize specific words and sentences of the speaker's choosing. I personally do not tend to use the button at all, but it has specific use cases in things like poetry or religious texts, of course. The stop button is pressed a lot. It is necessary to clear things often in the language. Thus, I made the decision to make the stop button mean nothing. You'll see it pressed a lot, albeit I will not include it in written translations due to its lack of meaning. This is all for the control actions. Next, let's talk about the parameter settings. This includes clock, time cook, kitchen timer, time defrost, weight defrost, and power level. The first 5 of those buttons are reserved to indicate the part of speech of each word. For example, let's talk about the simplest ones first: conjunctions and prepositions. Conjunctions and prepositions are indicated via the time defrost and kitchen timer buttons, respectively. Let's say you push the kitchen timer button. Congratulations, you are now indicating that you are about to begin what I call a prepositional array. This array is incredibly simplistic, as the only thing it can include is a preposition. The same goes for the conjunctional array, which can only contain conjunctions. Basically, pushing one of these 5 buttons indicates that you are about to begin an array. Let's go over these 5 arrays in detail. First, the simple ones. Conjunctional, prepositional, and interrogative arrays almost always contain one word. I've yet to run into a situation where I felt the need to place multiple words in these arrays, but I say almost always just in case something comes up in the future. Either way, these arrays will contain a single conjunction, preposition, or interrogative word per array. It's that simple. Then, there are the nounal and verbal arrays, which are markedly more complex. Let's start with the verbal, as it's the easier of the two. Verbal arrays must contain, bare minimum, 2 things: a verb and a tense indicator. Verbs are verbs. They do verb things. The tense indicator is conveniently cooked, no pun intended, directly into the button. When one pushes the clock button, they must select to make their clock use either 12-hour time or 24-hour time. 12-hour time is reserved for the closest thing to a past tense that exists. Specifically, 12-hour refers to anything that happened before August 2017, the rough manufacture date of this microwave. On the other hand, 24-hour time indicates things that happened after August 2017, making it a joint present and future tense. In addition, any events that are constant or consistent are generally placed in the 24-hour tense. As you may have noticed, I said that verb arrays must contain 2 things. They can contain more. Any words which modify the verb, such as adverbs, are also included in the verbal array. Adverbs come after the verbs they modify. Let's test this out by constructing a complete verbal array. The first sentence that popped into my head while writing this section of the script was, "The man eats the apple quickly." Firstly, let's isolate the portions that would be included in the verbal array. In this sentence, those portions are eats, the verb, and quickly, the adverb. Note that the object of the verb is not included as it is a noun, and nouns go in the nounal array. Therefore, we have the short phrase of eats quickly. Next, we must add the array indicator, that being clock. So we now have clock eats quickly. Remember though, you must indicate the tense. In this case, the English sentence was present tense, so we can reasonably assume that this is happening after August 2017. Thus, we arrive at clock 24-hour eats quickly. Finally, we translate the words eats and quickly into their microwave forms, those being 9105 for eat and 4415 for quickly, giving us, finally, clock 24-hour 9105 4415. This is the blueprint by which all verbal arrays are constructed. Nounal arrays are somewhat similar. They are composed first by adding an array indicator, that being time cook. No markers are required before the words themselves are input. As you may imagine, the nounal array contains nouns, be they subjects or objects, and their modifiers. You may assume these modifiers are adjectives, and you would be right. Kind of. There is so much more that must be indicated, and this is why the nounal array is the most complex. First, let's discuss grammatical gender. There are 8 grammatical genders. Many words do not have one set grammatical gender, which will become obvious when you see what exactly these grammatical genders are. They are, in order, things which belong in the microwave and currently are in the microwave, things which belong in the microwave but are currently not in the microwave, things which do not belong in the microwave and are currently not in the microwave, things which do not belong in the microwave but currently are in the microwave, things which should absolutely never go in the microwave and are currently not in the microwave, things which should absolutely never go in the microwave but currently are in the microwave, things which cannot fit in the microwave and currently are not in the microwave, and finally, things which cannot fit in the microwave but currently are in the microwave. Listed are some example nouns which fall into each category, generally. Grammatical gender is indicated by a specific number code as listed below. For example, if one wants to say the word ramen or 1375, they must indicate its grammatical gender at the end of the word. Ramen, unequivocally, belongs in the microwave. If it is currently in the microwave, you add a 1 to the end of the word. If it is not, you simply add a 2. Now that grammatical gender has been discussed, let's talk about case. There are 5 cases: nominative, accusative, dative, genitive, and prepositional. These cases are indicated utilizing the one parameter setting not used to denote parts of speech, that being power level. This table indicates the specifics. So, let's look at an example. Let's say that we wanted to say the big sword. For some reason, we'd start by placing the array indicator, then removing unnecessary words, then translating all words into their microwave equivalents. Remember, modifiers follow the things they modify. Now that we've done that, we must indicate the grammatical gender and case of the noun in the array. We'll assume that the sword is not currently in the microwave and that it is a small sword which could fit in said microwave. This makes this specific sword a member of the 5th gender. For clarity, this is due to it being made of metal. It is hazardous to place in the microwave, meaning it should never go in the microwave. As far as case, sword appears to be the subject of the sentence, therefore it is the nominative case. And we're done. Do note that a sentence can, and often will, have multiple arrays of the same type. Word order for this language is SVO, which indicates how arrays should be placed in sentences. With that, we've finished all necessary discussion on arrays. Let's move on to the final 2 sets of buttons, the numbers. The numbers are split into 2 distinct groups. First, the regular numbers, which include 7, 8, 9, and 0. These numbers have no effect when pressed unless other actions have been taken on the microwave. Meanwhile, we have the express numbers, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These numbers, when pressed by themselves, will turn the microwave on for X minutes, where X is the number on the button. This is why these numbers are used for grammatical gender, while the regular numbers are not. Now, with that out of the way, let's briefly discuss words. Words are formed by a combination of 4 numbers. Of course, words are meaningless when not attached to an array indicator, meaning that one set of numbers can represent multiple words depending on context. These meanings are generally related for simplicity. For example, the word for flight means to fly when input in a verb array. There's only one rule. regarding what numbers can be placed where. 0 cannot be the first number in a word. At least that's how I constructed it. I'm realizing now that I could have had 0 as the first input, meaning that you put in nothing, basically making a word a 3-digit word instead of a 4-digit word, which would have increased the complexity, but I've already made this whole thing, so I'm sticking to no 0 as the first input. Other than that, words are all over the place. With all that out of the way, it is finally time to begin a proper translation. At least it would be, without this quick lightning round of miscellaneous grammatical tidbits that didn't fit cleanly into the other spots beforehand. There is a top sneaky 6th array called either the adjectival array or the pseudo-array, which is basically created to facilitate descriptive sentences. By pressing timecook twice, you are indicating that the following array contains only adjectives. You'll see this get used a little in the translation. To make nouns plural, you simply input the number 8 at the end of a noun array. This is done by pressing timecook again, which sounds like it could be confusing, but in practice is pretty easy to understand. Negation is performed by placing the word for no at the end of the verbal array it modifies, that word being 9000. To make a verb imperative, simply input the number 1 at the end of the array. Now that that's done, let's create an example sentence to translate real quickly. I'm going to use something very simple for this example, something that came to my mind very quickly due to other events, which I will talk about in a moment. That being Genesis 1:1, specifically the King James Version. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Let's start by breaking it down into arrays. To start off, we'll place in into its own little prepositional array. Then, due to this language lacking articles, the next word in sequence is beginning, which gets sorted into a nounal array. Then God gets placed in a nounal array, followed by created, placed into a verbal array. Then, we have a nounal array, conjunctional array, and another nounal array for heaven and earth. When we translate the words into microwave, we get the following incomplete sentence. Kitchen timer 3434, time cook 1000, time cook 7777, clock 9042, time cook 4212, time defrost 1111, time cook 8433. Next, we'll add the modifiers that are necessary. Because this is a past event, we set the clock to 12-hour time. Next, we assign everything a grammatical gender. Easy ones first. Since the beginning isn't a tangible thing, it can fit in the microwave but doesn't belong there. This is a set rule for almost all non-tangible things, with the one exception of note up to this point being radiation. Regardless, we can assume that the beginning is not in the microwave currently, making it a member of the third gender. Next, heaven and earth, literally translated here as sky and ground. This is subject to interpretation, I just decided to do it this way. Both cannot fit in the microwave. We can also assume that they are not in the microwave, making them members of the seventh gender. Now the complex one. God. Can the Christian God, who I will henceforth refer to as Yahweh for simplicity, fit in the microwave? I would argue yes, given that he is stated, by the text I'm translating, to be omnipotent. This raises another question though, is he currently in my microwave? I would, once again, argue that he is, according to the text I'm translating, as it also states that Yahweh is omnipresent. Therefore, the real question is this: does Yahweh belong in my microwave? These are the kinds of fun questions that make me love this language so much, despite how cursed and terrifying it is. Assuming that he is not forced into the microwave, I'd say that there is no way to tell for sure. It comes down to the personal preference of Yahweh as to whether he wants to be in my microwave or not. Of course, there are other arguments. By definition, most things are placed into a microwave, meaning that for them to be there, I have to forcibly put them in, regardless of their will. Thus, one could argue that no sentient beings belong in the microwave, as that would minimally constitute assault. However, in this specific case, I don't think that argument applies. If we assume Yahweh's omnipresence, we are left with a couple observations. Yahweh is everywhere. This includes my microwave. But the crucial question here, did Yahweh choose to be in my microwave? If we also assume his omnipotence, then we can reasonably assume that he could choose to not be in my microwave if he wanted to, but can we though? Does the omnipotence override the omnipresence? It's a confusing question. Ultimately, I value personal space. I didn't believe in Santa as a child, but the songs about him watching me while I slept always kinda weirded me out. Thus, I am going to invoke the law and say that since I never explicitly invited Yahweh into my dorm room and by extension my microwave, even if he is truly in my microwave, he does not belong there. Case closed. Fourth gender. Everyone can make their own conclusions, however. There's a bunch of complexity with the concept of the Trinity here, among other various Christian doctrines, and what if I were referring to the Jewish God instead? And does this even matter since this was a past event and my microwave didn't exist? You can see how this gets complicated fast. Theology aside, let's work on the cases. Beginning takes the prepositional case, God takes the nominative case, and heaven and earth take the accusative case. With that, we have finished this very simple sentence. It's time for more complexity. On to what you've all been waiting for. Here's a video of the language being spoken, as well as the original English text, the new microwave text, and a gloss. Please forgive my glossing abilities, as I am no linguist. I probably have no clue what I'm doing, but I certainly tried. Don't click off after the translation, though. After all, it is only right that I receive closing remarks. When I discovered the cursed Conlang circus, I was fascinated, bewildered, repulsed. I remember my personal favorite submissions from the last contest, those being Robin Hood and Seraphim. I found them to be completely ridiculous, yet also beautiful. They were art. And now here I am. This language is not something spoken by the gods themselves. It doesn't involve anything crazily over the top. However, it is mine. And thus, despite the destruction it hath wrought, I am proud of it. What is one to do with such a thing? After all, with the completion of this video, its purpose has been fulfilled. Thus, it is with great pleasure that I would like to announce that I am not done with this language. I intend to begin a translation of the Bible into microwave, which I am preliminarily dubbing the microwave translation. Very original, I know. Regardless, that's all I have. The iceberg has hit the Titanic. The ship is sinking as we speak. Get on the life rafts while you still can. I, on the other hand, will go down with the ship. Like Jonah, I know that it is me that the seas want. For I have brought havoc into this world. And now, it is finished.